Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Nerds at Large Anime Gauntlet for Spring 2021, Episode 11. My name is Jeff Mayo. This man is Darby Hallman, and that man, about where you are, he's right behind you, is Alex Boone.
Watch out. People die if they are killed. That's a quote from Shiro, Fate Stay Night.
Yes. Legendary line.
Legendary line.
Was that people?
I was thinking
when
about
they're
that
killed?
or a line from Assassination Classroom that read, "Pornography can save the world."
It's true. It can.
Do you know the context of this? Show?
I do.
And did it?
It unfortunately did not. It failed.
Damn. Who could have guessed, man?
The giant tentacle monster just loves porn. Okay?
All right, I mean that tracks.
Yeah.
That's not surprising.
Least surprising thing I've heard, actually.
We all know that man's a dirty bird. Just look at him.
It's true.
Jeff, what is the show? What are we doing here?
This is the show where we talk about anime after we watch anime. But we are getting close to the end of our show. Next week is the last episode. And we are only down to 4 shows. Not necessarily because they all killed, because one already ended, which is 86. Yes. And at least for our purposes, this is technically the last time we talk about 3 of these shows. Megalo Box and Odd Taxi had their last episodes, and To Your Eternity is apparently having a recap episode, which, if that's the case, I mean, we're not talking about that.
We don't need to relive Goo Goo again.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Once is enough. Once is enough.
So next week, all we will do is talk about the season finale of Shadow's House and the last episode of Jordan. We're bringing back from the dead to watch the last episode. We're skipping from 4 to 13, 12, whatever episode it is.
Doesn't Jordan have a long season as well? So won't we be in the middle of an arc when we watch this?
I thought it ended.
Maybe it does.
Yeah, Jeff said
I thought it was
shorter.
a long season.
I think I saw people saying it ended.
I can't wait for it to feel like no time, like it was just the next episode. Like I can't wait for it to go and that's to like not be lost at all. It's just the same characters doing the same shit.
I can't wait for that blonde lady to actually still be alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of that stuff. It's either gonna be that or it's gonna be unrecognizable. It's gonna be one of the two.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that.
Yeah, and speaking of 86, I now saw confirmation 86 is a fall show.
Ooh.
So they're pretty much just skipping a season and then part 2
Hot.
is happening.
All right, let's go. This year. Also next week we will be doing our anime awards. We're gonna have a bunch of different categories and we're gonna give out awards to all these different shows. We have a bunch of different categories that we just put on. We'll probably add some more, so that will be fun too. And then that'll be the end of Spring 2021 Anime Gauntlet. And the next time we do this, it probably won't be for the anime season, especially since it looks bad. So we're going to go watch Magical Girl anime instead and watch Madoka Magica. And it's going to be a very good time.
I've tried to whenever I saw this look through and it's still like, none of this looks good.
Sad.
Don't worry, Mother's Basement will guide me to the hidden gems.
That's sad because I feel like the season we decided to randomly do this turned out to be a pretty damn good one.
Indeed.
Not the least for Megalo Box.
Oh shit, that's where we are starting.
That's where we're starting, not 86 this week.
Feels odd. Can we just talk about 86 again?
Yeah, there's robot zombies AI with your brain. All right, we did it.
Okay, yeah. I feel recapped.
There you go. You nailed it. Megalobox Season 2 is over. Y'all, that was the finale. I think leading up to this, it was very interesting because we were talking the whole time about how we can't predict what the finale is going to be or whatever. I kind of liked that the finale was somewhat tame and somewhat I guess what you would expect, but it was the road to get here was so different that it still hit. You know what I mean? It's even though on paper it's okay, yeah, it was the happy ending or whatever. The suspense and everything, I just thought it was really well done to get there and it felt right to
the actual satisfaction to it to me felt pretty average as it went. I don't know. I felt like this. I felt like it was kind of like as average as it could be for the ending. I don't know how to put it, but it wasn't a bad ending. It wasn't like, just also wasn't great. I just it kind of just wrote out. It's like, okay, yep. This just felt like it. Felt like it happened. Kind of like rolled right off. Maybe because I felt like the ending after the fight, it wasn't a lot of time with the characters. Maybe that was it. But
I can definitely see that. It was definitely kind of a subdued ending, and like in general, this whole season of Megalobox I think is very interesting because it's not super like plot driven. Like it's not one of those things that it's like from episode 1 to episode 13, whatever we're at, it's like one seamless like this plot point to this plot point to this plot point, like you would like season 1 was. Season 1 was very much kind of traditional come from nothing to the top boxing story. This was like way more of a like just character study type of thing, and focusing on like there will be a bunch of characters that their whole purpose in here was just kind of like how they influenced Joe or Mac or any of those or whatever. And it didn't really start to get to that like narrative beat by beat until the very end. So it's like it's kind of weird to look at it as a whole because it kind of feels like it's all over the place. But then the more I think about it, the more like I kind of like it for that, if that makes sense. You know? I don't know.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I just had a random thought. Did Joe win a fight this whole season?
He did
Lou.
the first episode.
Did he beat Lou?
He
that was
had
Max,
two
yeah.
fights he did where he won one against some no-name boxer underground, and then he also technically beat Chief.
That's true.
Because Chief threw.
Yeah.
That was it.
He didn't win.
No, he did not win much.
What
He
a
also
loser.
didn't fight much. I think he had like 4 fights on screen.
Yeah. What a loser.
You haven't said what you thought. What do you think?
Oh, I thought it was really good. Yeah, I'm kind of glad how subdued it was, and nothing like, oh, someone died or they both died or something. It was just kind of straightforward.
Yep, I am glad about that. The actual fight, I'm actually glad how it turned out. The actual just after the fight was kind of like, I don't know. There wasn't much there. I actually did like the fight and everything previous was good.
Yeah. I mean, some of that at the end definitely got me. Like, I liked the stuff with Pops, and like I was talking to Jeff like right after we watched it. Honestly, this whole time, like from the very beginning, when it was like when we knew that Pops was dead, I was like, they're gonna do the thing that I always kind of hate in a lot of shows when the dead person is like they're in the room. I don't have a problem with that, but a lot of times they end up having like full-on conversations with them to the point where it's like, okay, the showrunners just want to have this actor, want to have this character be a part of the thing, but they also want them to be dead and they can't reconcile this thing. So it ends up being like they have entire conversations with this person. It's like, that's not how people work. That's not how people grieve. You don't like sit there and have an imaginary conversation with your dead loved one. That's not what the hell this works. I like really liked in this show, like when Pops would show up, it was just like, yeah, his hand on Satoru's hand, like throwing out the thing or whatever. There was like these little touches that was like very metaphorical or whatever, but not like literal conversations. And I thought that it was handled really well the whole way through. And I kind of expected them to change that. I expected a monologue from Pops more than we got. And I'm like I liked what they did.
Now we need a plot twist where everyone's a shaman and can just summon ghosts. That's what we needed.
I was waiting for Joe to like tear his chest, find a ripcord, and become a chainsaw man.
Yeah.
And just start ripping Mac apart. Sad that never happened.
Yeah, I mean, I personally did like the outro to this. I mean, I think it was. Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to a lot of this. Like, I guess like there's not like technically on screen a lot of time, but I thought like a lot of, like there was a lot of growth with the characters. A lot of things changed by the end of it and everything. Like I said, it wasn't like as flashy and crazy as it acted like it was gonna be, but like,
Yeah. Mac is the champ. That's all it is too. But yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, it did build up to a giant thing, but like I said, I'm happy with how things went, and honestly, everyone wins, but Elon Musk, who got arrested.
Yeah, I mean, as expected, I think that whole plot line was definitely the weakest part of the whole show. I mean, they didn't want to devote a lot of time to it, and I mean, I guess I didn't want them to either. But it did kind of feel like, all right, that's just kind of there, and it's like, okay, you know,
It's kind of more there to build a little something, not like add another layer to Mac more than anything.
Yeah.
It's certainly nowhere near as interesting as Pop's going against the gambling guy and having to cut out his eye and shit like that. It's certainly nowhere near that interesting.
But no Mac time, Darby. No Mac time.
Yeah, I mean, I think they did a good job of making, like, Mac was basically protagonist at some point, you know, like, especially in the last few.
I think me and you talked about it, Darby.
Definitely.
I think the last couple episodes, if you actually do add up screen time, we probably have more Mac screen time than Joe. You probably say that for a couple characters.
I'm about to say, it literally, you could divide the thing up, the show up into threes, and Chief had the first third, Sachio had the second third, and the last third was all Mac.
Yeah, and there was a lot of episodes.
Those were the main characters, while the through line was Joe.
Yeah, which was a pretty interesting way of doing the season, to be like,
yeah, definitely.
where it's like all of these characters, like, even though Joe is like sidelined a lot, all of these characters are affected by Joe. You see like the effects of Joe and Pops over everyone's arcs, even if
funny enough,
is not
Joe
there.
has more growth in this season than the previous season, and this one didn't even focus on Joe
100%,
that
yeah,
much.
100%. And I like how this season kind of pushed back on the themes of the first season, where it was like, you know, it was like everyone's like getting maimed and like ruining their lives to help Joe, but you know, it's for the glory of boxing. And then like in season 2, they definitely are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, people's lives are being ruined for real people. But at the end, they are like, oh, but we're gonna trade these kids to be I'm like, just find another hobby, like anything else, literally anything else.
No, Megalo Boxing is life.
I mean, I do. I don't know. Would y'all agree? I do like. I like the season definitely a lot. Like I really like it, and I think the more I think about it, the more I like a lot of aspects about it. I do think the first like fourth of the show was definitely the strongest part of the show, by a considerable margin.
All the Chief stuff and all that, and the immigrants were way more. I was just say more interesting. Just a better written product in general.
I don't think that's a hot take.
No, I think as it went on, there was definitely a point that they were like, okay, well, we have to get to this point. So it's like we have to start kind of coalescing this in. But when in the beginning, when they had no expectation of that, it was just we are telling this isolated story over here. I think, that was really cool. And it just caught us all off guard. Yeah. The way that went. So overall, I definitely think I think it's not as strong as it maybe could have been from seeing the start of it, but I still do think it was a well put together season. What do y'all think about this versus season 1?
I think they're very similar, where I think the beginning of each season's way stronger than the end. And God, I think this season, I like this season more, I think, though.
Yeah. I think it has more going on with it.
Yeah, it definitely does. While season 1 was kind of like almost Monster Week style, but with boxers. And you kind of, I don't know, not as much growth for Joe. Just kind of a generic boxing story that just sounded and looked very good. This was more unique. This was a more unique story in general.
Yeah, I certainly agree overall. I think if I'm in the right mood, I think I could be in the mood for season 1 over season 2, but I think overall season 2 was like stronger in the emotion aspect and everything, and had less action scenes, but like the things that were there hit more. Like in season 1, there was definitely a certain point there, and like the a little past the middle where I was like, okay, we're gonna do the semi round. The semifinals, and it's like, okay, you know, like he's gonna win, and we're just gonna like I'm kind of glad they dropped we have to have a boxing match every episode in this one. It's definitely better.
R.I.P. Megalo Box.
All right. Yep. It was
Till
a very good show.
Megalo Box 3.
I guess I won't reveal it here, but I'm definitely for next week gonna rank them in my own personal rankings.
The significance.
I just think it's fun. So
No,
we'll see.
yeah. I might do that as well.
We'll say.
All right. Time to talk about Odd Taxi.
Or I guess I'll do it for everything. I was thinking about ranking I was just thinking about that. I kind of honestly forgot we had other anime other than like the 5 that we ended up with. But,
I'm about to say I'm gonna do all 10.
all right, I can rank all 10.
I need to watch all of Vivi.
Sorry. What are we on now? I'm sorry.
Odd
Taxi.
Odd
Taxi.
Taxi.
So holy shit, right?
It was pretty odd.
It's hard not to start at the very, very end because it was such a
That's a dark ending.
Jerk the steering wheel at the last possible second to have a dark ending.
It's one of those
she
things.
kills Alcoa and DN.
Yeah, Dari, we kind of were like, don't know how to take it there, but the more, we all were like, man, that's so good. It's so good.
I don't know if I agree with that part. I think the whole show is like fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm still up in the air about like that final decision and what it does for me.
Yeah.
Why not just do it?
She needs to tie up some loose ends, yo.
She just has to tie up some loose ends.
I guess I would feel a little better about it if like I had felt like she had been more of a part of the story up until now, Like, I mean, like definitely the signs were there, but it was like
I think the way the story
probably if I watched it again, I would probably see more.
Honestly, it was one of those things is that they showed her so little that I didn't even think of it as a possibility until she had that flashback with her mom. She's like,
Yep.
you need to do more to get there. As soon as that happens, like, oh, she's probably the one who killed her.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it was obvious then, yeah.
And I think as far as like, oh, it's her, it's like, okay, like after it was revealed, like at that point, it's like, oh yeah, at this point, because the way the show is, it's going to be a character we know at this point. Like they're not just gonna bring up some random character, like a new character.
No,
and at this point,
it makes sense that she's willing to take the name and everything as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, and the fact that at this point, by this episode, it's like, oh, she was like about the only named character left that made sense, unless they somehow do one of the comedians.
Yeah,
but it was like those three. If you really thought about this point, that made sense at this point.
It was, yeah, for sure. I mean, I agree that like it had to be someone we knew. I expected it to be someone we knew more, or even more than that, or whatever. For the kind of impact of it, because also it's like her being the one. It's like it's not quite as fun as I think some other options, because it's like she's the one that replaced her. So it's like, okay, well, that kind of makes sense. She killed her because she wanted the spot or whatever. I mean, it's a motive.
All right under our nose, all
I
wrong.
mean, it's 100% a motive that obviously makes sense, but it's like it almost makes too much sense. It's like, okay, well, like, fair, but it doesn't leave me like, holy shit, it was her. It's like, okay, well, yeah, it was her.
It's almost like if it was the other cat, the calico cat, that you actually kind of saw a little bit more, trying to get in, it would hit a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree. Out of the trio, she was definitely the most forgettable. It's almost like the show kind of wanted it to be that way at the same time. That's the reason I'm not too mad about it. Like, I like it.
Well, and immediately thinking about like, oh, the signs. So there are definitely some signs, and yeah, a rewatch would probably point to a couple more things.
Sure.
For one thing, when Otokara saw the picture of the girl, after they found her body, it's like, that wasn't her. It was like, oh, okay. So it makes sense now. The ones that he drove was the one that looked similar to her in his eyes.
Right.
So if you catch that, then it's like, oh, yeah, that's who it is. It's there. Also, something I doing a rewatch would like to point out. I noticed when she was doing that, she was clicking that pen. It's like, I've seen that pen before. That's the pen the giraffe dude had at some point. The giraffe high school student that was intermingling with the comedians, and apparently it is a wiretapping device.
Okay.
that I forgot about when I saw other people talking about it. So there is some people are theorizing that she has a couple other potential victims, including that giraffe guy student. Like she might have killed in between, because apparently they do like some kind of talk radio thing with Odd Taxi and show with I think with the voice actors or something, and they kind of hint at that and kind of go into more detail. Like, okay, yeah, she's kind of she's a
There's probably so much stuff with this.
she's a psychopath.
There's hints that there's other people that are dead that it just didn't show.
Yeah,
that were
and
dead.
apparently including the kangaroo bartender. I don't know exactly.
Yeah, I wonder if like when you see her in different scenes, does she just have different objects like that that belong to other people, and you could have caught that, like that being one of you could have seen.
If
her.
That's the case, that's so
cool.
sick.
That's sick. Yeah, that's cool.
Like
if that is.
Yeah. Let's see.
God, the show was just so good.
Oh, I mean,
like, Jesus Christ.
Let me be very abundantly clear. This is like in my like at least top 5 anime now, or if not like top 3 or something. I mean, this show was phenomenal. Yeah. And I mean, like, yeah, the gut punch of that ending. It was like I like gut punch endings, but this was a gut punch ending that was like so like weird. That it was like, and like I said, I was a little bummed about the person or whatever. So that's why like I'm not even saying it's bad. It was just I haven't processed it yet. But everything up until then or whatever, the whole finale was incredible.
Yeah.
With Onokawa going off the bridge and the music that was playing.
Everyone just kind of having epiphanies during it.
With him dropping in the water and everyone having like just flashbacks to something dropping.
Yeah.
That was, oh my god, that was so good. It's like, I can't believe I'm being cut off by a car. And just, yeah, the disbelief on everyone's face where it was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And just like, yeah, cutting between all of this, like while he's in this chase scene and just like cutting to him like panicked in the car or whatever was just like the editing of like, they had a lot of information to reveal in this episode.
Yeah, cutting between him, the
job.
chase scene and his backstory and all that, or, you know, the contents of his diary that Gariki got. Like, so good.
And I think just enough of his backstory and everything was like teased in an obvious enough way that we've known for a while. A lot of these things, like him seeing the animals and a lot of this stuff, or we could guess that he had child abuse from his parents. And by this point, there's enough of that stuff to where like you don't feel lost. But then there was also enough stuff that like even just seeing that stuff in person and seeing the actual little kid Oikawa was like very cool.
Yeah,
like, you know,
and kind of seeing the first scene that kind of resembles actual human figures.
Yeah. And the juxtaposition between going in the water both times in the past and in real life was, I don't know, it was just very, very well done. That like
I was curious, like, okay, yeah, but will we see these people in their actual human forms? Will we get the switch? And lo and behold, we did. Or like about the halfway point.
Yeah.
And I like what the way the designs are for most of these characters. Like, we can immediately tell who he was, and it's like, okay, there's a reason Otokar imagined these people as like animals they did. A lot of them look pretty dead on.
I mean, I think they did a
Dobu.
Dobu looks the weirdest. He looks the like least human of all of these human characters. I love like Porcupine Man though. Yeah. It was like they did a very good job of making the characters look human, but also look exactly like their animal counterparts. To
I would say the dog man was the one that looked the most,
and alpaca.
Yeah,
it's like didn't. I mean, it wasn't like they all didn't look one to one, but it was enough. You know, most of them you could tell immediately.
And the ones you couldn't, they kind of gave you context whenever they came up of who they were to begin with, / what they were wearing.
Yeah. What did everyone think about they've been stringing us along forever and ever and ever about who's in the closet, and it's a cat.
It's so fitting.
I saw someone pose the idea that maybe the reason Otokara is like, oh, thank goodness, the actual cat, is because since he saw everyone as animals, he was worried he was like an actual baby.
No, yeah. Yeah, that was yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was absolutely what was being communicated there. I mean, that's what I was saying to you. It was like I can go there with them with the whole like him seeing people as animals. It's wild and crazy, but like yeah, I can see it, whatever. The thought that he couldn't tell the difference between like a human being and like a cat that he has in a pet or whatever is like a bit wild, but
It's probably just a panic thought. It's like, okay, I'm pretty sure this is a cat, but now that I've seen everyone as humans again, God, please let that actually be a cat.
yeah, I mean,
Oh God, let that be.
it's
a cat.
probably like
Did I kidnap a baby?
It's probably like I've obviously been mentally insane this whole time, so like I don't trust myself. Like,
And now he has a pet. Officially.
yeah, but I like that. Like from the writer's perspective, they kind of felt with the cat in the closet that they could ham it up and tease that as hard as they want and really make you think it's something real because they never had to tie it into anything because it was nothing.
Yep.
So it was just like they were able to like really go hard on that and make you like second guess yourself over and over again.
Yeah, especially in the beginning. It's like, okay, is Otokara a killer? Is that what's going on?
And then them reveal it was like, oh, it's not her or whatever. That was really like that was when all of us were like, well, fuck, then I don't know. And the real answer was it's nothing, and that's why. And that was kind of them telling us it's nothing, but we don't have the other clues, so our minds start going in a bunch of other directions. I think it was like a really smart thing. And like there's so many hits, I think it like you need something to be like, that was red herring.
Yeah.
You know.
Other things that got confirmed is Otokara's benefactor. We were on the right track. It wasn't the idol, the monkey dude or whatever, the idol's dad, but her classmate, which is actually the mob boss, which in hindsight, like, okay, that makes sense because they talked to each other in the sauna and he knew who Otokara was.
Right.
So, and despite being Yanu and Dobi's boss, he's a big old softy.
Yeah. Soft elephant boy.
Yep.
Dude man with the video game totally straight up like shot people and did a bunch of shit or whatever. It's not getting away scot-free.
Yeah.
It's just funny to me that he gets to go back and live his normal life and his normal job, but like Baboon Man is actually in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this
It
taught you
happens.
anything. Wear a mask and all your problems will be solved.
It's true.
You hear that, United States? Wear your mask.
COVID's over, Alex. Get over it.
This is me pleading to 2020 United States.
So you're gonna go back in time? Well, you better change a lot of things if you're going back to 2020.
Yeah.
Well, does anyone have any other overarching takes on Odd Taxi?
Oh no, I have. This is probably going to be a me watching like a 3-hour video documentary, like essay on it, just trying to rewrap my head around everything again.
Yep.
Same. I'm sure there's so many little things, especially like in the early part of the show, that would like be giant red flags to us now.
Like the opening with the freaking cat, like just meowing at the very beginning, literally was just his cat.
Yep, it was. Yep, the whole time. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't
And
think
whenever
of it.
they show the cat in the closet, it's way too small to be any of the other cats. It's literally just a cat.
True.
Like it's
Right in front of us all.
Wait,
just
did
that
they show
stuff.
the cat in the closet in the intro? I
Yeah,
know. I was saying
yeah.
that they showed it in the closet.
Yeah, it's in the closet. It just shows its tail going back and forth. So, and it's a black cat, so you assume
It's
it was the
her.
missing
Yeah,
eyeball. Yeah.
they knew what the fuck they were doing.
But when you look at the cat, it's like, no, clearly that's just a small cat. That is not like a human-sized cat. It's like you can break down like so much of the show just from the opening.
and you
After
talking
watching it.
about the like that she had the pin of the other guy, that makes me think like, yeah, like now you want to go and look at she wasn't in too many scenes, but just look at all the scenes that she was in and see like what other weird things there are.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because she definitely from the get-go, she always acted weird. She was acted very like happy-go-lucky about a lot of things, but wasn't very good at the dances and things like that. It was like
wasn't upset that she was replacing a dead girl.
true. That's it.
Yeah.
Very very happy to be given this opportunity.
Yeah, very true. I mean, but yeah, this is gonna be a show that I've already recommended it to like my sister and brother-in-law. It's like this is one of those I think like you could recommend to just about anyone. And this is not like a super anime. You know, it's like
No.
yeah.
You got a Palka lady kicking things, but that's about as anime as it gets.
This is an all-timer for me for sure.
It's fantastic.
So
Now,
good.
next is Shadow's House. Episode 12. The penultimate episode.
Fucking tea.
Fucking tea, man.
Drink the tea.
Drink the tea. Drink the tea, Jeff. Drink it.
Not as dangerous as coffee, at least.
I guess not. I already forgot what does tea do. What did we learn about tea? I just remember.
I don't think it did anything.
I was trying to think.
I don't
Talking
think it's
about
anything.
tea.
I think he was just making tea.
He was just making tea. Well, the fucking coffee was like mind control, so you know, I kind of just figured.
Yeah, but
I'll go ahead and say I don't like how the other two dolls just
magically broke it.
Yeah,
after
randomly
the
broke it.
slight bit of kindness.
Yeah. It's like the
oh,
other
yeah.
two made
So-
sense.
Yeah,
Like
it's
blunt trauma
bad.
being punched and also being force fed water. I can understand. Being slightly kind. Like, come on.
that-
Come on.
it was so ridiculously easy.
So before we go forward with this, I'm going to bring up something that I saw someone say. At the halfway point of last episode, apparently this is all anime only. The manga is farther along, but they're apparently taking it in a different direction.
wait. So sorry. Say that again. So everything up until then has been anime only.
No. Everything up
Or
to
everything
about apparently
after.
the halfway point has been follow the manga. The manga's farther away than this, but apparently they decided anime only, which scares me.
Might just be an anime only ending for the season just because they couldn't get a good ending to the season.
Yeah.
I assume.
What also
Yeah,
partly
it
scares
doesn't
me
scare me.
is this is the same people who did Promised Neverland.
Oh no!
It is. Is it the same writers? I thought it was just the same animation company.
I don't know.
Okay,
I know it's
Yuko Table.
Cloverworks. That's all I know.
Cloverworks. That's what I meant to say. I know it's Cloverworks. So like, not super worried unless it's literally the same writers. Now I'm like, okay, well, this.
Yeah.
But that does.
Yikes.
You said it was like halfway through last episode or something.
Yeah,
or
it's like
something
okay,
like
that kind of makes sense because something I've enjoyed it, but something's kind of felt off in a way.
that. Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
I
that's
straight
the
up
reason
really
I-
haven't enjoyed the last two episodes all that much to be 100% honest. But
That's the reason I started with the negative of them changing instead of anything else. That's the first thing I went for.
But also, like, that makes me wonder, like, is the whole, like, we're going to drop this plot immediately and everyone wakes up immediately. I wonder if that's manga or if that's just anime, because it feels completely, like,
That's
unearned and out of nowhere.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's anime.
It feels like it feels like we started a
Well,
plot
well-
and then someone else walked in and was like, no, this plot's stupid, and just, like, undid the plot.
I'm sure I'm sure you'll both agree with the way they did the debut and how long that took and stuff. Yeah, it did seem weird that the whole coffee thing was dropped pretty
Nothing.
quick.
It was like, what was the point of
Yep.
even introducing this if you're gonna do away with it so uninterestingly and so quickly?
Yeah.
It's like Alex said, it definitely like it screamed like we did all this effort. We did like a half an episode to show like the other two getting taken off. It's like, we didn't want to go through this whole process 2 more times.
Yeah.
And he's gone. It's like, what?
Yeah, I'd be curious to see. I mean, this is one of those shows that I'll probably pick up the manga after the season is done. Because I just heard usually the manga's really good. It continues to get even crazier. So curious to see the differences.
I can definitely see the manga being really good. I think this ending is literally them like wanting a kind of climatic ending to the season,
Yeah.
and it not like lining up great with where the manga was. So they have to create this plot with Edward, which since we know it's manga only, anime only, that there's not going to be any big nothing big's probably going to come out of this.
Yeah. And well,
It's
and
probably
also
just going to be a conflict. She's probably going to get rescued, and it's probably going to go back to the status quo just because they don't want to deviate so far from the manga that when they go back to it next season, that it's unrecoverable.
or
So
they
this is
leave
what
it very open and their lives continue and we don't get another season.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't see them I know y'all said sometimes they just and wrap it up and it's done or whatever. I can't see them getting to an ending by next week.
Oh no! Well, unfortunately,
that seems impossible.
When something's continuing as an anime only ending, it's usually their lives go on.
Darby, I didn't think UFO Table was going to be able to get the ending out of Promised Neverland, but damn it, did they not spend 15
True.
minutes and showed us a slideshow of 50 chapters worth of stuff? Did I not
I think
just
this
see
is different, than that.
Yeah, this is very different, but damn it,
Yeah.
Darby, shows can just end.
True.
I was given a slideshow with music, no commentary whatsoever. I don't want to spoil anything, but god damn it, I was just what?
Especially since honestly I don't really have that much interest in watching season 2 regardless. I almost kind of hope it does do that so I can see what y'all are talking about when this type of shit happens on the show, because I'm looking at this how can this possibly?
I've seen crazier. I've literally seen crazier.
Yeah.
I like Claymore as a manga as well, but the anime just had some it was a fourth of the way through the fucking show, and it was just and the climactic fight now. It's just what the fuck? What just happened? It was just normal an episode ago.
They did. D. Grayman did something similar. I'm like, why?
D. Grayman has over 100 episodes.
Yeah.
God dang it.
D. Grayman is not done, Alex, and it pains me. D. Grayman is one of those ones that we're lucky to get a chapter a year.
Join the Hunter x Hunter boat. The Berserk boat.
I'm on all those
the other
boats.
I know. I'm on 2 of them.
Just straddling too many boats. How does he even do it?
At least One Piece gets chapters.
It's true.
Yeah, well, it sounds like we're all somewhat down on this and that. I mean, that definitely makes it sound worse.
This was probably of all these shows, besides Odd Taxi, some of my least favorite of definitely of Shadow House, and I thought Megalo Box was okay. I was pretty unsatisfied for most of this week.
Gotcha. I mean, yeah, I definitely agree with Shadow's House. Like I said, I also kind of felt that way last week. I mean, I don't think it's aggressively bad or anything. It's not painful, but it's definitely it was so weird after Shadow House took so long to go through plots, almost too long to go through them, and then it gets to this, and that was arguably probably the plot point I was the most interested on in anything they've done so far, which was taking the dolls off of the equation. I came in here talking about how excited I was for that plot, and then it was immediately nope, fuck that plot. And I'm all right, cool.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Well, as soon as you hear the words anime only, the fear starts coming.
Fear in the hearts of thousands.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how they can wrap it up next week. Wrap it up is probably a strong word. We'll see.
Oh,
but how did To Your Eternity wrap up this arc? With sadness, of course. How else?
Dead.
They don't know any other way to wrap up
they
arcs.
killed our boy.
I was telling Jeff, Alex, just one arc. I just want one fucking arc where the central side character doesn't. One. And then they could go right back. They could go right back to their murderous ways. I just want one.
And he lost Bear, and he lost fucking March.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
He doesn't have March or Bear anymore.
He lost. Fushi lost a lot this episode.
Just a dog and a boy.
He's 2 boys.
Yeah, it's alright.
One that could breathe
arguably
fire
a very
and
muscular
swole.
boy. Yeah, arguably a very muscular boy.
And breathe fire.
He's still
Very important.
Still a boy.
Yeah.
Rin knew. It was like a Last of Us like lie to the girl's face.
Okay, yeah,
In
we
this
got
case, she
we
just
got we
knew.
got to get to that. We got to get to that. We will get to that. I'll
yeah.
talk about the show, the episode first, because I think that's two different discussions. It's like it's fucking wild. But I will say, I mean, it was very like it was cheap and it was like dirty, but like the way they did the 2 episodes ago, they're like, okay, everyone is taking the same thing. They're not going to do this 3 times in a row. So then you get to that episode, it's like, okay, we did the big closer of the arc, and they didn't do it. Okay, right. Like I was right about this show. Yeah. 2 episodes later, oh no, JK, that wasn't the final battle. This is the final battle. We're doing it anyway. So it was like the bait and switch was dirty, but I do think narratively is strong and makes a lot of sense because it was, Fushi was making the decision to not press forward and because he wanted to live a normal life, and God straight up told him there's going to be consequences for this, but I'm going to let you make your own mistakes. And it's like, okay, if they're going to do that plot point, then yeah, he needed to lose a lot. And yeah, I think this is going to be like a turning point for Fushi where he's like, all right, well, I cannot grow attached to people. I'm going to try not to grow attached to people.
Yeah.
I gotta like.
The funny thing is he loses the memories of March and the bear as well.
Is that a funny thing, Alex? Or is that like
soul
crushingly depressing?
It's so soul crushing, but gives me a giggle.
What y'all think?
I loved it. Yeah, it is kind of like, okay, they're doing this again. I do think, I guess they can still do it very well. I'm like, okay, yeah, next arc, we can't just have the obvious kid that young adult that Fushi got attached to get murdered. But yeah.
You would think. We'll see.
You would think, but I think this one was really well done, especially playing over expectations, like you mentioned, Darby. As far as thinking, okay, Gugu's safe. Oh fuck, no, he's not. And just I love the way they showed off kind of the transformation happening and Gugu kind of dying, because you could tell it was starting to like Gugu was technically dying, so Fushi was feeling like this isn't my pain, and you're just flipping back and forth. And just Fushi's having a reaction to this, and then he does transform, and he just flips out. Like, even different from March's thing, where that was just raw rage or whatever. This is like just more rage, of course, but just pure sadness, like
denial
and denial and stuff. Like, even he knows it's happening, but he's kind of he actually has actual emotions now, and this is really his first loss since then.
Mm-hmm. What'd you think about it, Alex?
It was really good. I really liked it. I still think that losing Gugu is like, okay, they did it again, but they did it again in such a good way. How do they do it always in a good way?
Yep.
Like every single time they can't do it again, but they do it, and it's just good.
Yeah, and we have seen the technically same kind of broad plot point 3 times, but kind of like Jeff, you were saying, we've seen like for March and for boy, we don't have a name for him, do we?
I don't think they actually gave him a name.
The original OG boy.
Yeah.
Both times it was kind of like almost like your pet dog witnessing you die, and it, like lashes out or is like upset about it or whatever, which is very sad. But like this was definitely like, I mean, he's basically like the emotional equivalent of like a kid kind of right now, and whatever. And it's like,
and into Fushi's mind, Gugu is his brother.
And like he is like the one who like kind of brought him into the world as far as like and showed him things and taught him to actually like think and know and feel. And it's like, like the emotional reaction is completely different, even though it's a very similar situation, and it is soul crushing. And this is the one I think why this is different is Fushi is somewhat responsible for this. Like Fushi knows that Fushi knew that they would be back, and he was just trying to like act like it wasn't the case. And Fushi knows that by sticking around there, he put them all in danger.
Yeah, compared to Boy, who was going to die either way.
Yeah.
And March, who Fushi kind of let her live at least a little longer.
Yeah, he was trying. It wasn't it wasn't directly his fault that happened.
Yeah. They're probably gonna fuck Fushi up. And it makes me wonder going on, like, his emotional state, like, will he transform into Gugu? I mean, obviously at some point he will, but will he do it like he kind of has willy-nilly at first, or will he have to wait until he needs to?
I don't know, the very end makes me think that he'll do it at a very inopportune bad time. All right, we gotta talk about that. Like, legitimately, my entire like outlook on Fushi did shift a little bit in that time because I was like, I literally can't think of a worse way for you to handle this situation. I don't think there's any worse way.
I think in his head, he still had Fushi's like word, not Fushi's, got Gugu's words. It's like, oh, you cannot let anyone see you transform.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh wait, I am little boy now again. She can't see this.
Yeah.
Panic. Only have one other form now besides dog.
He could have just
He should have
transformed the
went. He
dog.
should have dog.
Yeah, the dog would have been a let's just tremendously better.
But I agree with you, Dari. It's still fucked up, but at least maybe the general feel better that Rin knew at the end. And it's a small thing, but I'm so glad they did that.
Oh, I had real anxiety building until she finally said that. I'm like, thank fucking Christ.
Yeah.
I was like, if you leave this off with her, like, one day Gugu will come back, I'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. And I just like it because it makes sense, like, her to kind of tell after being, around Gugu so long that something was off.
And around
Like,
Fushi, too.
yeah, around
to be
Fushi,
able
too,
to
yeah.
say, like, yeah.
It's like clearly the way he is talking. This is Fushi,
Yeah.
and she probably did see like Fushi transform,
At some point,
or
yeah.
she ran in there and saw the big fight going on. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't
Probably
even
knew
think
something
about
was-
that. Did she not know about Fushi?
no,
Oh,
she's
wow.
not.
Yeah, she might have figured something was up, like, even 4 years ago, in the timeline, just because weird stuff was kind of happening. And
Yeah, I just remember there's obviously lots of times that he transformed, but I guess you're right that like she was never technically around.
He was told not to transform in front of her, so he never did.
Just everyone else in the house knew what was up,
Yeah.
so I kind of forget that she did.
And I think we all kind of called it or thought there's a good chance of this, that, the boy only aged because Fushi did not transform. The moment he switched something else and turned back,
Yep.
he was the same age again. So,
I figured because March always has the arrow like
yeah.
wound on her back where the blood's thin,
Yeah.
and he always transforms back into the boy and has like the
rope and
stuff
Yeah,
around him
true.
every single time.
What if someone like gets like squished one day or something,
and that's how.
and he
Yeah.
just
he has to
transforms into a
return to
squished
that
body? Who's like,
I'm sure that'll be a plot point. This show's pretty fucked up. We saw that thing literally squish March.
God, Jesus Christ, that was
Yeah,
fuck.
Wasn't actually March, but still, it's still a little girl.
The show knows that they could get away with that because we know that he's gonna reform. But like, Jesus.
Okay.
don't worry. We'll never see March again because now March's form's gone.
Well, actually, we could see because March's ghost is following Fushi.
Yeah, and so is Gugu's. as
Yeah,
well.
and now it's Gugu.
Yeah, they showed the March one when March first died, and then I thought, oh, obviously it was just like, oh, this is just how they're just showing their thoughts as they die. It's like, no, Gugu's there too, and March is a little nervous.
Yeah,
She
well,
has
at the
another
time,
death
yeah, I was
buddy.
like, okay, they're just gonna do this sometimes when someone does that, and then they'll just move on. Then Gugu's behind. Oh, March goes there. Yeah.
So what's y'all's expectations? I mean, do you think that they will keep
more
those...
kids to die.
I mean,
Yes.
well,
You'll have a dead kid army.
Well, that's a given in this show. But I want to know what y'all think. Do you think it's going to be like those things are separated? There are ghosts or whatever, but it's kind of more to like show the past and show who's like made an impact on Fushi, or do you actually think they're gonna do some bullshit where they bring everyone back to life?
I don't think they'll bring anyone back, but I do think they're like a part of Fushi.
I think there's gonna be some kind of weird middle ground, which I think you'll be more okay with this. Like maybe at some point something happens and he like kind of chats with the spirits at some point, maybe.
I'm fine with him doing a spirit bomb with their power,
Yeah,
or some
yeah.
shit like that. But
There's,
yeah, I don't
there's
want
something
them
that
to
thing.
come
Yeah.
back.
I don't know if they'll go as far as bringing like
I
everyone
hope
back
not.
to life.
I really hope not.
Also, I mentioned this to Darby, Alex, and I'll have to bring it up here. So during that intro opening, they like to kind of hint / spoil things that you don't really know are spoilers because they have a bunch of
I've
random
gone
bullshit
through
there.
every inch of that intro at this point.
Yes. Yeah, they did it for one thing. This isn't my main point, but they did it again with Gugu, where they show Fixed face Gugu saving.
Yeah, with Ren.
Yeah.
Doing on the vine. Yep.
Yep. It's like, okay, well, and then also close to the end of it where it kind of shows the orb and it goes through his transformations, including Rock. Perona's there.
Yeah, which she has been there, I think. This is not
No, I know that. But
yeah,
at the time, before it was like, okay, well, Gugu's not a form yet. Okay, well, now he is. Perona is literally the only one.
Yeah.
And not even a people close because I forget her name, the older woman's not there. And I think she could make that list at this point. If that was just...
She is old.
Yeah. So that makes me think there's a good chance Perona dies at some point.
And they're definitely not afraid to show things that actually happen in the intro, because a lot of times they're like, you don't have the context or you won't believe us, so it doesn't matter or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but that's definitely about to wear off, because everyone's going to be like, okay, if you show something in the intro, we're going to believe it now, or we're going to be looking at that. Yeah, I mean, it also could be a red herring again with like they show like older March, which never actually happened. I mean, I know it happened in the Flash thing, but it didn't happen in reality or whatever. Yeah. So I mean, it seems too obvious, but they've done other things that maybe in hindsight seem too obvious. So I don't know. But like you mentioned after we watched it, like what if like several arcs from now, Fushi's just doing something, and then all of a sudden turns into Perona, and we're like, "Oh God, what happened?
What happened to our girl?"
Like, oh, like we haven't even seen her, and he just turns into her, and it's like, oh no.
That I think, especially with the whole thing, it would like it, one of those things that we could have assumed, but we know for sure now with the way he transformed the Gugu, he doesn't actually have to see the death happening.
Yeah, no. There are not many rules.
Yeah.
To Fushi's
a prediction I have is I forget her name, crazy girl who Fushi slashed and had scars down her eyes. It's probably going to, maybe kill Perona off screen. That transformation happens, and then we see her shortly after.
Yeah.
But the only reason I think may go against that is the fact, why wouldn't she have done that by this point? She knows where Perona is. It's been 4 years.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. This show's fucking bonkers, and I'm all here for it. Make me feel things, and then take them away from me. Again, daddy.
It's just all they do. Like I said, one arc. Just one arc.
God, I just had a thought. Best Boy could be a slaughter. I mean, we got like Gugu out of car at the very least.
There's a lot of good boys.
Yeah.
Sachio's not going to be the best boy.
No.
Just thinking about the boys.
Trying to think who I'd put up there for Megalo Box, but we'll get to that next week.
I like Shin quite a bit.
Yeah.
Or no, wait, no, not Shin. Or is that the 86 guy? What's his name?
Yeah, Shin.
It is Shin. Okay. It fucked me up because like, isn't Gugu's brother also named Shin? I was like,
yeah.
That's not who I'm talking about. It's like, damn.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
Shin's a very common name.
Shin.
All right, so everyone look forward to Anime Awards next week and Shadow's House finale. It's gonna be a good time, and then that'll be the end of Anime Gauntlet. We will probably almost certainly come back to talk about the very end of To Your Eternity season 1,
as well as Daria mentioned top of the show, Madoka Magica we will be watching, and I'm sure Alex and I will do something for Beastar season 2.
Oh yeah.
Because that premieres this month.
Yeah.
A couple weeks.
Alrighty. Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.